Another aspect of this story is that Iranian Americans say they are being subjected to unfair scrutiny. Dozens were questioned for hours along the U.S.-Canadian border. It has gotten the attention of civil rights groups and members of Congress. They say singling out Iranian Americans is unconstitutional. Some are also being held up at other points of entry. My guest, John Ghazvinian, was detained at New York's Kennedy Airport. He's the interim director of the University of Pennsylvania's Middle East Center. So, John, explain to us what happened once you got to JFK.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I don't want to make too much of this. It was a relatively straightforward encounter. It was honestly something I found more amusing than anything else. But it was I was asked to go into secondary screening, which is not unusual. The questioning was extremely friendly and polite and courteous. The whole thing was over in a few minutes. But the only thing that was a little bit unusual about it was that I was asked in a sort of fairly conversational tone, really, what I think about the situation going on with Iran, question I declined to answer because I didn't think it was appropriate under the circumstances or relevant. That was the extent of it. But when I walked out, I was sort of amused by the whole thing and sent a tweet about it, which got far more attention than I had expected. The reason I was amused, honestly, is because given what I do for a living and the fact that I've just spent 10 years of my life writing a book about the history of U.S.-Iran relations, which comes out soon, I thought it was a little bit ironic to be asked that. I mean, I have a great deal I could have said about the subject, but so I sent a sort of a light-hearted tweet saying, well, I should have told her that the book was coming out in September, and that's got a great deal of attention, but yeah.
Well, I'm glad that the experience wasn't horrible for you, because we are hearing some more stressful situations for other people along the U.S.-Canada border. But did they pull you out of the line to ask you these questions, or was it while you were waiting with other people? I mean, how did it exactly work out?
No, this is, I guess, secondary screening, which I think is a relatively, procedurally, as I understand it, relatively straightforward. Basically, when you enter the U.S. or any country, you have the border guard who asks you the initial questions, and then he simply said that we have to ask you a few extra questions, and so they took me to a separate room. I mean, I think that's the sort of standard procedure for secondary screening.
And have you ever gone through anything like that before?
No.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. John Ghazvinian, thank you for sharing your story.